Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I'm going to review Master of the Void by Wend. As the third son of an archmage, Oremund Laetus has spent his life living up to the expectations of others. But when his testing goes wrong, he must decide who he truly is. Nothing matters more to Darius than forging a better life for his family by pursuing a magical education. And when disaster strikes on the eve of his 13th birth moment, he must choose between bitterness or perseverance in a society that would rather forget that he exists. So I read this as part of the finalist match for the self-published fantasy blog of round 9. So this opens up with a tease of the magic system in this world, creating something of a mystery before we start meeting our characters. And we meet a lot of them as we start moving into the story. So standouts included Oremund, who is studying magic. He takes things very, very seriously indeed. He knows what he wants to achieve, and he's going to work his way through to just managing to do that. He is on the verge of finding out what his magical gift is, and with 2 older brothers, he has a lot to live up to. He is friends with Imber, who is lively and playful and around the same age. Darius also has a lot of expectation on his shoulders. His family have sacrificed a lot to send him off for magical education. Darius's perspective is interesting because we do find out a lot about the earth magic aspects of this world through his point of view. He is a similar age to Oremund, but I did find that his thoughts and his perspective did read a little bit older. He feels much more mature than Oremund does. Then Timorous, older at 35, although that's not old. He was an interesting counterpoint because a lot of the other perspectives are so young. He wants to be taken more seriously in his career, and his point of view really doesn't end up going where you expect it to. There are quite a few other points of view characters that we meet and we jump in and out of them. Some of them we don't spend a lot of time with and others we do. And I did find that it broke the flow up and it was a touch on the distracting side. You never really felt settled within a character before we moved on. Also, once or twice, it did take me a little bit, a couple of paragraphs to figure out whose perspective we have switched to. There is an emphasis on journeys throughout this one, both physical and personal. Both Oremund and Darius start out this story in similar mindsets, hopeful, about to study magic, really excited for the future and what is going to happen. But beyond this initial introduction, they go on very different journeys. Oremund sees a lot of the world, and this changes his perspective on a few things. Darius doesn't seem to travel quite so much, but his personal journey is really quite extensive. The magic system is a good one that you can sink your teeth into, and it's the sort of thing that I love in fantasy. A really solid, well thought out magic system. The magic that you have available to you depends on the stars above you when you were born. I did enjoy finding out the details, however it does get a little bit exposition-y as Darius at one point asks his father to please tell me about the mages again. So that information for the reader is given in a way that doesn't quite feel natural to the world. It's presented that the reader has that information. There were some interesting aspects to the magic system which kicked off the story, and trying to piece all those bits together to see where we were going and what was going to end up happening to the characters. I really enjoyed that aspect. However, do remember that the stars are not static. One thing that I couldn't quite tie up in this one was the society seemed to have some quite advanced astronomical knowledge, which didn't quite tie up to the technological level that we experienced throughout everything else. One aspect that I had trouble with and didn't quite work for me were the timelines to this story. Things weren't always apparent on how they lined up, and although this builds up to be an important aspect of the storytelling, it does make a confusing first part of the book. There are also time skips within the narrative which are given without any context, so you do catch up, realising that a few years have passed, but it's not always apparent straight away. It does all eventually work out, but I did feel like I spent a lot of the start of the book trying to piece these bits together rather than enjoying the flow of the story. Even though that this was the longest out of the batch of finalists, at no point did this drag. The style was easy to get into and the momentum was consistent throughout, to just keep you immersed in the story. I did just find it wasn't quite as cohesive as I enjoy. For SPFBO, I am giving this 6 out of 10. So if you have read this, I would love to know your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you all soon.